So Thanksgiving is over, and you're left with a massive carcass, maybe 2, maybe 3. I had 3 carcasses. Technically 4 carcasses, 3 at once, 1 by itself. The pressure cooker, which I put it on the slow cook mode, fits like 1.5 of the carcasses in. So I've been doing this for a while. But what can you do with those bones now? Like, you want to use everything. You don't want to waste anything. What can you do? This is how you make bone broth. Bone broth is exceptionally good for your health. It is also really good in soups. It's a nice, strong tasting broth. I technically did 2 things. Not only did I make bone broth, or am I making bone broth, but first I boiled it for about 4 hours, and I took and drained that broth off. That broth was used for soup. I also got the meat that came off the bones at that point, and used that in the soup. Then I returned all the bones back into the pot, covered them up with water, put about 2 tablespoons worth of apple cider vinegar in there to help break down the bones and get that marrow and goodness out of the bones. And then you just put it on low in the crock pot for 24 to 48 hours. The longer it sits, the more stuff will get extracted from those bones. The bones will get brittle and just basically fall apart. Throw some like veggie scraps in there. Notice there's an onion unpeeled in there. There's no other veggie scraps in this one now. I did have some celery and carrots, but those were getting pretty soft, so I did pull them out. I did throw some peppercorns in there for flavor. And I'm just letting it like basically be warm and cook out all the bone goodness. So the bones are starting to cook down pretty good. You can see that broth is a nice rich brown color. And it tastes amazing. So we let that cook down for the 48 hours. We got about 12 hours left on this one. Then you strain it. How much you strain it is up to you. You can use a regular strainer and just get the bones out basically, but leave some of the chunks still in there. You can use a fine mesh strainer, or you can use a cheesecloth. It's all up to you on how far down strained you want to make it, but that's the step you would go to next after you finish cooking it down. I would show you all these steps, guys, but I still got 12 more hours. So once it's done cooking down, you strained it, you put it in your jars. You should have a nice, beautiful gel that forms at the top of your broth, which is really good. That's just gelatin that is really healthy for you. You now can either freeze it, or you can can it. If you're going to can it, you're going to put it in the canner for about 25 minutes for a quart. For pints, it's 20 minutes. For me, it's 10 pounds pressure. Again, look up your area for pressure. And you do that, bring it up to pressure like you would normally. Once it's at pressure, you start your timer, 25 minutes for quarts, which is what I think most people are using. You go ahead and you turn off the heat and let it cool down naturally. And then you let it sit for 24 to 48 hours so you can check the seal. Let's go check some seals. So once you take that bone broth out of the pressure cooker, it's going to look like this, most likely. The jars are going to need to be cleaned. The lids are going to have the rings still on it. So you're going to clean those jars in some soapy water. And then you're going to remove the ring off of there. This one's pretty loose. You don't store it with a ring, because a ring can cause pressure on that seal and cause it to prematurely break open, or it can false seal. It opens up, and then because that ring is pushing down on it, the temperatures change, it seals back up, but you've already had bacteria be introduced. So once it's all done, you're going to have this. You're going to go ahead and write what it is on the lid, and then just check the seal. Pick it up by that lid. If the lid stays on, it's good. The rings are not holding that lid on. It's the vacuum seal. So you can see kind of at the top some of that gelatin. Beautiful, beautiful bone broth. As long as it's good, throw it on your shelf, and it is good for at least 1 year. Ball now recommends or says that they are good for 18 months. And there's been people that have ate things 6, 7, 8 years later. So use your better judgment, use your smell, all that fun stuff. Stay blessed, guys. Catch you on the next one.